Welcome back to Sleepy Pages of History. Tonight, as the outside world softens into silence, you are invited to settle deeply into your pillows, let your shoulders drop, and allow your breathing to find a quiet, unhurried rhythm. There is nothing left for you to accomplish this evening, and no problems that require your attention. We are beginning a long, tranquil journey through the Queen Victoria entire reign, exploring a lost world of gas lamps and velvet designed specifically as a Victorian London history for sleep. If you enjoy these peaceful evening journeys, taking a brief moment to subscribe helps ensure our quiet fireside library remains open to you whenever rest is needed. For now, simply adjust your blankets, close your eyes, and feel the soothing weight of complete physical rest. Allow the tensions of the modern day to melt away into the dim, amber glow of the 19th century. It is easy to picture a quiet room tucked deep within a stone palace late at night. Outside the tall windows, a gentle evening rain taps a steady, rhythmic lullaby against leaded panes of hand-blown crown glass. The thick, uneven glass ripples with small circular imperfections, causing individual rain droplets to meander slowly down the pane in mesmerizing, unhurried trails. Inside, heavy silk velvet curtains hang from the ceiling down to the carpet, acting as engineered thermal shields that seal away the whistling night draft. They trap the soft, radiant warmth of the hearth inside, creating an insulated sanctuary of complete comfort and stillness. The room smells faintly of pure beeswax candles burning in polished brass sconces along the dark mahogany walls. Unlike the acrid tallow of lesser homes, these hand-dipped candles burn virtually smokeless, filling the air with a delicate, soothing aroma of dried honey and warm wax. Near the hearth rests a plush featherbed, built upon layers of selected goose down, and wrapped in smooth linen sheets that were pressed with distilled rosewater during their morning preparation. Beside the bed, a portable brass carriage clock sits upon a side table. Its bevel-cut glass panels reflect the flickering flame, while its internal platform escapement produces a steady, crisp tick. This rhythmic cadence provides a grounded acoustic anchor, reassuring the room that time here moves slowly and safely. As you rest here, one can almost imagine the soft movement of palace staff moving quietly through carpeted corridors outside the door. A maid walks in felt slippers, her silk taffeta petticoats producing a gentle, whispering scroop against the heavy floor coverings. Every detail of this world is designed for quiet order and physical comfort. The crackle of seasoned oak logs in the grate casts soft, dancing shadows across the polished woodwork, while the deep pile of the rugs swallows every footstep. In this protected space, the cold dampness of the London fog cannot reach you. You are completely safe, supported by the soft down mattress, drifting slowly toward a night of uninterrupted sleep. Beyond these tranquil walls lies an immense historical landscape spanning 63 years and reaching across a quarter of the globe. This was an epoch defined by monumental shifts, where steam locomotives slowly replaced mail coaches and gaslights gradually illuminated foggy cobblestone streets. And yet, beneath the grand movements of trade and empire, the era remained anchored in quiet human moments. It began not with grand proclamations, but with a secluded teenage girl living in Kensington Palace, writing in leather journals by firelight. The scale of that world is astonishing, yet its vast history rested on simple, quiet daily routines. In the great castles of state, a solitary clockmaker paced the carpeted hallways late into the night. His sole duty was to wind, oil, and calibrate hundreds of mechanical timepieces, ensuring their brass pendulums swung in gentle, overlapping harmony. As those timepieces ticked softly through the darkened halls, an 18-year-old princess slept peacefully, unaware that her name would soon define an entire global era. But for now, the grand politics of state can wait in the shadows. The hearth is warm, the rain continues its quiet pattern against the glass, and the night is long. Let your mind drift back into the misty morning of 1837 as we begin our slow journey through the pages of history. To understand the world into which Queen Victoria ascended in the summer of 1837, one must first step away from the instant connectivity of the modern era and look upon a vast, quiet, and deeply localized landscape. Across the globe, maps were painted in soft pastel washes, with massive interior continents still marked as uncharted territories. In Great Britain, a population of roughly 26 million souls lived largely within the quiet rhythm of the seasons. Distance was measured not in hours, but in the physical endurance of horses, the strength of coastal tides, and the firmness of crushed stone turnpikes. It was a world that moved at the natural pace of walking, where news traveled no faster than a galloping mount, and where the horizon felt distant, serene, and uncluttered. A traveler standing on a high ridge in the county of Kent at dawn in 1837 would see a countryside bounded by centuries-old living hedgerows. These massive green structures, thick with hawthorn, hazel, and blackthorn, formed continuous sheltered tunnels over sunken dirt lanes. They insulated travelers from cold valley winds and filled the morning air with the sweet scent of wild blossoms. Below the ridge, the landscape stretched out in rolling green shires, dotted with thatched timber cottages, stone parsonages, and distant church spires. The air was clean, carrying the faint smell of wood smoke, wet earth, and damp grass. Apart from the occasional dark column of coal smoke rising from an early textile mill in the north, Britain was fundamentally an agrarian realm, resting under a wide, undisturbed sky. Through this pastoral landscape ran the primary arteries of national travel, the turnpike roads. Along these highways sat octagonal stone toll houses, engineered with multi-angled glass windows that provided gatekeepers with a complete view of approaching traffic. At dusk, internal oil lanterns gleamed through these glass facets onto wet stone turnpikes, offering a warm beacon to weary travelers along dark country roads. The surfaces of these main highways were crafted using the macadamized method, where small, angular crushed stones were laid in shallow, compacted layers. When heavy iron-rimmed carriage wheels rolled over these crushed stones, they locked tightly together under pressure. The result was a surprisingly smooth glide, accompanied by a continuous, hypnotic crunching sound that lulled carriage passengers into a state of quiet reflection. Along these crushed stone highways moved the Royal Mail coaches, painted in striking lacquered coats of black and royal red. Regulated to travel at a steady 10 miles per hour, these coaches represented the absolute peak of land speed for their day. Wrapped in heavy wool cloaks against the chill of a damp morning, passengers inside the carriage listened to the steady, rhythmic cadence of 8 iron-shod hooves striking the road. As the coach approached a turnpike gate or a village tavern, the coach guard, seated high on the rear box, would raise a 3-foot brass horn to his lips. The clear, melodious notes of the royal horn echoed through misty valleys ahead of their arrival, warning gatekeepers to throw open the turnpike doors so the mail could pass without stopping. Yet, despite these organized road networks, the country remained a collection of distinct, quiet regions separated by topography and silence. In eastern England, the vast low-lying fen wetlands stretched toward the North Sea, shrouded in dense morning river mists. Here, traditional reed cutters glided silently along narrow drainage canals, using flat-bottomed wooden punts pushed with long ash poles. A lone reed cutter pushing his punt through still. Glass-like water was wrapped in a quiet blanket of gray fog that dampened every sound, isolating him completely from the rest of the kingdom. Farther south on the sweeping chalk grasslands of Salisbury Plain, solitary shepherds tended their flocks around ancient stone monuments. They slept in mobile wooden huts fitted with thatched turf roofs and small cast iron stoves. Inside the shepherd's hut, a warm peat fire crackled in the stove, while outside, vast grasslands stretched for miles beneath an unblemished canopy of stars. While the rural interior moved to the slow tread of hooves and the rustle of marsh reeds, the edges of the island nation opened out toward a vast maritime footprint. In major naval and commercial harbors like Portsmouth and the Port of London, the landscape shifted from green fields to sprawling forests of seasoned oak masts and hemp rigging. Hundreds of great wooden merchant sailing ships sat quietly at anchor on calm tides, their copper-sheathed hulls gently knocking against wooden piers. Standing on a quiet dock at sunrise, an observer heard the low creaking of timber hulls and the gentle sloshing of salt water against copper-plated oak. These vessels were the physical ties connecting the quiet English countryside to distant outposts in North America, the Caribbean, Africa, and the Indian subcontinent. It was an empire connected entirely by wind, timber, and canvas. A letter sent from London to Kolkata relied on the ocean-borne journey of wooden merchantmen rounding the stormy Cape of Good Hope, taking 4 to 6 months to reach its destination. The sheer physical scale of the world in 1837 meant that decisions made in Westminster took half a year to echo across the seas, forcing local governors, captains, and merchants to rely on their own quiet judgment. Global commerce was measured in physical goods carried by hand, heavy chests of green tea wrapped in lead foil, bales of raw cotton from southern ports, aromatic timber from Baltic forests, and sacks of raw spices from tropical archipelagos. The world felt immensely wide, held together by the silent, steady movement of sail canvas across dark oceans. And yet, even within this expansive, quiet world, the subtle seeds of a profound transformation were already visible along the horizon. In the northern industrial districts, early steam locomotives were beginning to move along short stretches of iron track, their iron wheels producing a new rhythm that would soon unify the country. Small coastal towns were expanding, and iron foundries were casting the first structural beams for steam-powered ocean vessels. But in June 1837, as Princess Victoria prepared to take her throne, these technological changes were still gentle ripples on a quiet sea. The kingdom remained anchored in the familiar rhythms of the natural world, governed by solar time, wood fires, and horse-drawn travel. Place always precedes the people who inhabit it, and the physical world of 1837 established a pace of life that protected the human mind from constant friction. Without telegraph wires or rapid transit, the daily existence of the average citizen was spent within a small, comforting geographic radius. People knew the precise sound of the wind through their local oak trees, the exact tone of their village church bell, and the scent of their local soil after a summer rain. The scale of that world is astonishing, not because of its speed, but because of its quiet, expansive depth. It was a spacious landscape that allowed thoughts to unfold slowly and life to be lived with measured serenity, providing a calm and steady foundation for the long reign that was about to unfold. Long before she lent her name to an entire global epoch, Princess Alexandrina Victoria of Kent lived a life defined by quiet rooms, strict routines, and the heavy silence of Kensington Palace. Born in May 1819, her early world was not one of grand court pageantry, but of profound physical isolation. The Hanoverian succession was fragile, marked by aging royal uncles without legitimate heirs, making the young princess a figure of immense political significance. Yet inside the red brick walls of Kensington, her daily existence was intentionally narrowed by her mother, the Duchess of Kent, and the ambitious comptroller of the household, Sir John Conroy. Together, they devised the Kensington system, a rigid set of rules designed to keep the young heiress completely dependent upon their supervision, sheltered from external influences, and isolated from the broader British public. Under the strict protocols of this system, Princess Victoria was never permitted to be alone for a single moment. She was forbidden from walking down any staircase within Kensington Palace without an adult holding her hand, enforcing total physical oversight. The sweeping marble staircases of the palace, with their cold, smooth balustrades and echoing stone steps, became a daily reminder of her confinement. She walked down them with slow, regulated footsteps, her small hand firmly held, dreaming of the day she might step freely across her own palace floors. Until the very morning she ascended the throne at age 18, she was required to sleep in the same bedroom as her mother, surrounded by the soft rustle of shared bedding and the watchful eyes of her guardians. It was a sheltered, slow existence, measured not by statecraft, but by hours spent watercolor painting, practicing the piano, and taking quiet walks through the palace grounds. In the secluded gardens of Kensington Palace, Victoria found her few moments of serene comfort. The old red brick perimeter walls were trained with sweet peach trees, and fine gravel paths wound between fragrant beds of English lavender. Strolling along the sun-warmed brickwork on quiet afternoons, she inhaled the sweet, calming mixture of sun-ripened peaches and crushed lavender leaves beneath her footsteps. Beside her bounded her most cherished childhood companion, a King Charles spaniel named Dash. With his silky ears and affectionate nature, Dash provided an uncritical, unconditional warmth that cushioned the young princess against the cold political calculations of her household. In her private moments, she also created over 130 detailed paper dolls. Sitting in sunlit window alcoves, she focused intently on applying delicate watercolor washes to tiny paper figures, sewing miniature silk and velvet dresses, for them using fine thread, a quiet world of order and beauty entirely under her own control. To anchor her inner life, Victoria turned to the written word. At age 13, she began keeping a personal diary in small Morocco leather-bound notebooks. Sitting by a quiet hearth in the late evening while the palace slept around her, she dipped her goose quill into dark iron gall ink. By the steady, warm glow of a single desk candle, she recorded her private thoughts, observations, and gentle frustrations in fine, slanted quill strokes. The scratching of the quill nib on paper, the supple smell of the leather binding, and the faint, earthy scent of the ink created a comforting bedtime ritual. She would maintain this habit almost every night of her life, ultimately filling 122 volumes. These private journals planted a silent forward promise, capturing her authentic voice long before she was permitted to speak authoritatively to the world. And yet, even amid this unnatural isolation, the broader political timeline moved steadily forward in the shadows. As the health of her uncle, King William IV, declined throughout the spring of 1837, the quiet corridors of Kensington grew heavy with anticipation. The Kensington system attempted one final push to force the young princess into signing a regency agreement that would grant Sir John Conroy official power. But Victoria, possessing a calm, unyielding inner strength, softly refused. She waited patiently in her rooms, finding solace in her books, her dog, and her quiet routine, knowing that time itself was her greatest ally. The decisive moment arrived in the pale, misty hours of June 20th, 1837. At 5 o'clock in the morning, the Archbishop of Canterbury and the Lord Chamberlain arrived at Kensington Palace, bearing news from Windsor Castle. They were admitted into a quiet, blue-gray reception room on the ground floor. Victoria was awakened from her sleep and stepped into the cool morning light, wearing only a simple cotton nightgown and a cotton shawl, her dark hair hanging loose over her shoulders. Her bare feet rested on cool wooden floorboards. There, in hushed, reverent tones, the two statesmen knelt before the 18-year-old girl and informed her that King William IV had passed away during the night. In that quiet dawn, without ceremony or warning, she was Queen of Great Britain. Her immediate actions revealed the profound desire for independence that had matured during her years of captivity. Upon receiving the news, her very first direct order as monarch was to request that her bed be moved out of her mother's room and into her own private chamber. That evening, as she turned the key in the lock of her new bedroom for the first time, she experienced the overwhelming peace of total physical solitude and privacy. 10 days later, she moved her court to Buckingham Palace, leaving the rigid memory of Kensington behind. A year later, on her coronation day in June 1838, after hours of wearing heavy gold-embroidered state robes and bearing the weight of the crown at Westminster Abbey, she returned to her private apartments. Her immediate response was to strip off the formal velvet robes, kneel beside a wooden wash basin, and gently splash warm water over her excited spaniel Dash, bathing him herself in complete, joyous simplicity. The transformation from an isolated princess to a reigning queen was swift, yet Victoria approached her new responsibilities with a calm, measured poise. The years spent under the Kensington system had not broken her spirit. Rather, they had taught her the art of quiet patience and self-restraint. The memory of those secluded rooms, the scent of lavender along warm garden walls, and the nightly comfort of her leather diaries remained anchored in her mind, grounding her as she stepped into the vast public sphere of imperial governance. And so, in the quiet dawn of a June morning, a simple turn of a palace key opened the door to a new century. When night falls over 19th century London, the bustling commercial capital pauses its hurried pace and settles into a heavy, insulating hush. The city surrenders to an atmospheric mantle created by the famous pea superfogs, formed when the damp, cool moisture rising from the River Thames mixes with the sulfurous coal smoke drifting down from millions of domestic hearths. A thick, yellow-green fog rolls slowly through the streets. It envelops the grand stone facades of Westminster, drapes over the iron bridges, and fills every narrow cobblestone alley with a dense, quiet mist. Walking through the city at twilight, the frantic noise of daytime traffic collapses into a soft, insulated silence, wrapping the traveler in a world that feels suspended in time. Above the damp streets, the night is illuminated by the soft, golden glow of gas lighting. Every evening, solitary lamplighters walk their 6-mile routes across the metropolis, carrying 8-foot wooden poles fitted with a brass hook and a shielded pilot flame. With a smooth, quiet motion, the lamplighter reaches up to open a tiny brass valve atop a lamppost, producing a gentle hiss of escaping gas, followed by a soft, satisfying pop of ignition. Instantaneously, a flickering, warm yellow jet of light blossoms inside the glass lantern, casting a golden halo through the yellow mist. As the lamplighter moves steadily down the street, his measured footsteps fade into the darkness, leaving behind a long, tranquil line of luminous beacons that guide the night traveler home. Along the main thoroughfares, the soundscape of the night is muted and rhythmic. Lightweight 2-wheeled hansom cabs glide effortlessly down the avenues. Recently fitted with solid rubber tires around their wooden wheels, these cabs roll over the wet stone streets with barely a whisper, their movement marked only by the steady, hypnotic trotting of a single horse's hooves. Inside, passengers lean back into soft, button-tufted black leather upholstery, looking out through dark glass doors as flickering gas lamps drift past like distant stars. On residential streets where a neighbor lies ill or recovering, thick layers of golden straw are laid several inches deep across the cobblestones outside the home. When heavy iron-rimmed carriage wheels pass over this golden padding, the loud clatter of hooves and iron collapses instantly into complete acoustic silence, filling the misty air with a sweet, damp aroma of fresh agricultural hay. As dusk deepens into full night, the street vendors begin their familiar, comforting routines. On freezing winter corners, chestnut sellers tend to charcoal-filled iron braziers that glow red-hot against the damp dark. The sweet, rich aroma of roasting chestnuts drifts through the cold air, drawing cold commuters toward the radiant hearth. A weary passerby pauses to hold a warm paper cone filled with freshly roasted chestnuts, pressing chilled hands against the paper to absorb its comforting warmth. A few streets away, the musical chime of a small brass bell echoes through the fog. It is the muffin man, walking his evening route with a wooden tray of fresh crumpets balanced steadily upon his head, signaling to cozy parlors that it is time to boil the kettle for evening tea. To step off the street and enter a Victorian home is to cross into a sanctuary of deep physical comfort. Inside the basement kitchen, a massive cast iron range stove burns continuously, radiating a dry, steady heat throughout the lower floors. On the corner hob sits a heavy, polished copper kettle, humming with a soft, gentle purr of rising steam, keeping water hot for late-night tea and hot water bottles. Upstairs, in the drawing room, heavy silk velvet curtains are drawn tight against the single-pane windows, deadening the distant sounds of the city and sealing in the cozy warmth of a crackling coal fire. The room is softly lit by oil lamps casting pools of amber light across polished mahogany sideboards and deep wool carpets. In the quiet alcoves of the parlor, life unfolds at an unhurried, peaceful pace. Family members rest in high-backed armchairs, the soft glow of the hearth illuminating the quiet scene. The air is filled with subtle, comforting scents, a blend of wood smoke, roasted chestnuts, steeping black tea leaves, and the faint, sweet trace of beeswax polish on dark timber. Outside, the rain begins to patter softly against the glass, but inside, the atmosphere is one of complete security and tranquility. The yellow-green Thames fog remains pressed against the window pane, unable to breach the warm, protected sanctuary within. And yet, while the city slept beneath its blanket of fog, the machinery of the state turned quietly in the shadows of Westminster. To view 19th century Britain from afar is to observe a vast, intricate lattice of social order, where every individual occupied a clearly understood place within a calm, structured hierarchy. At the apex stood the royal court and the landed aristocracy, whose lives revolved around country estates, seasonal relocations to London townhouses, and formal audiences. Beneath them expanded a growing middle class of merchants, lawyers, industrialists, and civil servants, who cultivated an atmosphere of domestic respectability within suburban villas. Base to this social structure were the millions of skilled artisans, shopkeepers, domestic workers, and rural laborers whose manual craftsmanship and daily labor maintained the physical mechanics of the realm. It was an orderly, highly refined world, bound together by mutual obligations and a profound respect for tradition. This complex social landscape was governed by elaborate, non-verbal codes of etiquette designed to preserve harmony and predictability. Central to this system was the quiet ritual of morning calls and the presentation of calling cards. When visiting an acquaintance, a guest did not simply knock or enter. Instead, a crisp cardstock card, engraved in fine copperplate script, was presented upon arrival. In grand entry halls, a butler received the white card upon a polished silver tray, carrying it down carpeted corridors with quiet, deliberate steps. The physical condition of the card communicated precise, subtle meanings without a word being spoken. A folded upper left corner indicated that the visitor had delivered the card in person, while a fold on the right edge signaled a call of condolence or sympathy. These small, elegant gestures transformed social interaction into a gentle, predictable dance. Nowhere was this dedication to order more visible than in the quiet, hidden world of domestic service that supported every wealthy home. Below the main living quarters, in the cool, stone-flagged basements, a distinct hierarchy operated with absolute precision. Head butlers spent late evenings in locked pantry rooms, using soft chamois leather and jeweler's rouge powder to hand-polish sterling silver tea services by the warm light of an oil lamp. Working in slow, rhythmic circles, the butler watched tarnish fade until the silver caught the deep, golden reflection of the flame. Along the basement walls hung domestic bellboards, featuring dozens of brass bells mounted on coiled steel springs. Each bell was tuned to a distinct musical pitch, so that when a silk cord was pulled in an upper parlor, a single brass bell hummed softly in the basement corridor, swaying gently on its spring to call staff to service. In the upper rooms, parlor maids wore soft leather or felt-soled shoes to ensure complete silence while tending to the comfort of the family. A maid glided seamlessly across deep wool carpets, using brass fire tongs to adjust glowing coals in the grate, or placing delicate china tea sets onto mahogany tables without making a sound. Her presence was felt not through noise, but through the continuous, effortless maintenance of physical comfort. In drawing rooms across the country, elegant rosewood or silk-paneled fire screens were positioned between seated ladies and open coal fires. These decorative shields softened the intense, radiant heat of the hearth, preventing high temperatures from flushing facial skin while allowing a diffuse, gentle warmth to envelope the seated reader. During the quiet evening hours, middle-class parlors became sanctuaries of peaceful domesticity, women sat in high-backed armchairs within sunlit or lamplit alcoves, engaged in fine needlepoint embroidery. They pulled colored silk threads through taut linen canvas under the focused illumination of an oil lamp, their steady, repetitive movements creating intricate floral patterns in complete silence. Nearby, massive mahogany sideboards housed heavy-cut crystal decanters resting on soft green felt liners, which absorbed impact and prevented any harsh clinking of glass. The atmosphere was one of profound tranquility, where the gentle click of a knitting needle or the soft turn of a book page marked the passage of time. Looking back across the decades, it is easy to see how deeply people cared about these elaborate systems of social precedence, calling cards, and domestic rituals. These rules were not experienced as rigid burdens, but as a comforting framework that provided safety, clarity, and dignity to everyday life. They created a world where expectations were clear and friction was minimized. While the formal calling cards have long since faded and the brass bellboards hang silent in historic basements, the memory of that quiet, structured respectability endures. The scale of that world is astonishing, leaving behind a legacy of craftsmanship, domestic order, and serene domestic grace that survived long after the parlor fires burned low. Behind the grand stone facades of Westminster and the soaring towers of Windsor Castle lay the quiet, unhurried engine of constitutional monarchy. During the 63 years of Victoria's reign, the nature of British political power underwent a profound, silent evolution. The crown gradually shifted away from direct executive interference, transforming instead into an enduring symbol of national stability, continuity, and moral authority. Yet this transition did not occur through dramatic political upheavals, but through thousands of quiet audiences, handwritten state dispatches, and late-night advisory meetings held in firelit libraries. Power was exercised not through loud public speeches, but through the calm. Steady exchange of written words and soft conversation in the shadows of state offices. Every day, official communications traveled between cabinet ministers in London and the Queen's private desk in red Morocco leather dispatch boxes. These heavy wooden boxes, covered in supple, dyed leather and secured with a weighted brass lock, held the daily business of an empire parliamentary bills, foreign cables, and military reports. Their heavy lead bases were specifically engineered so that if a box were ever lost at sea during transit, it would sink immediately to the quiet ocean floor, protecting its state secrets. On the Queen's mahogany desk, the heavy box opened with a soft, satisfying click of its key, releasing the distinct, familiar smell of aged paper, iron gall ink, and fine leather. There, by the light of a desk candle, Victoria spent hours reviewing every document, marking margins with precise ink notes. In the early years of her reign, the complex machinery of government was gently demystified for the young queen by her first Prime Minister, Lord Melbourne. Soft-spoken, urbane, and deeply paternal, Melbourne spent hours sitting beside the 18-year-old monarch in the high window alcoves of Windsor Castle. Looking out over misty castle lawns and ancient oak trees, the aging statesman instructed her on constitutional history, parliamentary procedure, and the subtle art of statecraft in a warm, reassuring tone. He did not lecture, he conversed, insulating the young queen from political anxiety while instilling in her a profound respect for constitutional tradition. His quiet guidance provided a stable bridge, allowing a young girl who had grown up in isolation to step confidently into her public role. As the decades progressed, the crown navigated the contrasting styles of brilliant political figures who shaped the middle and late Victorian eras. Benjamin Disraeli offered charm and romantic courtliness, communicating with the Queen through elegant calligraphy on cream paper, often enclosing delicate pressed primroses gathered from his country garden at Hughenden. William Gladstone offered intellectual rigor, constitutional lectures, and exhaustive administrative detail. Disraeli offered charm, Gladstone offered lectures. Yet despite their deep rivalries, both statesmen respected the constitutional boundary that elevated the monarch above party politics. Politics was framed not as a fierce ideological battle, but as a series of personal relationships. Handwritten letters and late-night advisory meetings carried out over mahogany tables. Long after steel-tipped pens dominated commercial offices across the nation, the House of Lords supplied its clerks exclusively with hand-cut goose quills. Under the high timber roofs of Parliament, clerks recorded newly passed laws on heavy vellum parchment, using smooth, silent quill strokes that produced no harsh metallic scratching. The organic whisper of feather quills across vellum maintained a deep, respectful silence in the grand halls of government. When official royal assent was granted to a bill, Queen Victoria signed her name and pressed a heavy brass seal stamp into warm red sealing wax applied directly to the parchment. The cold brass stamp pressed firmly down in complete silence, leaving a crisp royal impression that transformed paper into the law of the land. In the royal archives at Windsor Castle, thousands of these state cables, leather portfolios, and official letters were meticulously preserved in a climate-controlled secretarial library. Floor-to-ceiling oak shelves held tied leather volumes, enveloping the room in the peaceful scent of aged paper, beeswax polish, and bound leather. Walking down those silent aisles of history, an archivist pulled down heavy portfolios to review the quiet records of statecraft. The political history of the era was preserved not as dry ideological theory, but as an intimate human record of devotion, duty, and quiet work. And yet, beneath the surface, resentments remained, waiting to be resolved by the steady march of time and institutional governance. Beyond the parliamentary halls of Westminster and the quiet green shires of the countryside stretched a global maritime network that fed the commerce of an industrializing world. At the heart of this vast web sat the River Thames, flowing through the Port of London in a dense forest of oak masts, hemp rigging, and billowing canvas sails. From the misty pool of the river down to the sprawling docklands of Blackwall and East India, hundreds of merchant vessels rode the tides, linking the domestic routines of English homes to distant harbors in Canton, Kolkata, North America, and the Pacific Islands. It was a world powered by wind, tide, and physical timber, where global trade arrived not in standardized steel containers, but in fragrant wooden crates, heavy burlap sacks, and lead-lined chests handled by generations of dock workers and harbor masters. Among the most magnificent vessels of this ocean-borne era were the sleek wooden tea-clippers, such as the famous Cutty Sark. Designed specifically for extreme speed, these tall-masted ships featured narrow wooden hulls lined with polished copper sheathing to prevent barnacle growth on long ocean voyages. During the annual Great Tea Race, clippers competed to carry the first harvest of loose-leaf tea from China to London, carving across 15,000 miles of open ocean in under 100 days. Out on the dark, moonlit Atlantic, a tall wooden clipper glided in complete solitude, its towering white canvas sails filled with trade winds above a silent ocean. The only sounds aboard were the low creaking of oak timbers, the whistle of the wind through hemp shrouds, and the gentle rushing of salt sea spray along the hull as the ship carried its precious cargo toward home. When these merchant vessels arrived at London's East India docks, they stepped into a unique sensory atmosphere that set the harbor apart from any other place in the kingdom. The air along the dockyards was filled with a rich, comforting mixture of global aromas, drying cedarwood, rough burlap jute sacks, unrefined brown sugar, raw black pepper, and damp river mist. Dock workers and harbor masters reviewed paper manifests in quiet wooden offices overlooking the piers, while men unloaded thousands of wooden tea crates from the holds. To protect delicate green and black tea leaves from damp ocean air and salt spray during 4-month voyages, Chinese craftsmen lined every wooden crate by hand with paper-backed lead foil, soldering the metal completely airtight. Opening a sealed lead-lined chest in a quiet London shop released the fresh, crisp aroma of high mountain tea leaves picked months ago half a world away, bringing the distant hills of Zhejiang directly into an English kitchen. Along the riverbank at Blackwall, specific brick warehouses were dedicated exclusively to the storage of imported cinnamon bark. The warm, sweet spice aroma seeped through heavy brick walls, filling surrounding residential streets with a comforting cloud of fragrance that softened the cold winter fog. A few docks over, heavy Scandinavian timber ships brought pine and fir logs from Baltic ports, creating vast floating rafts of sweet-smelling pine timber in the harbor basins. These floating pine logs rested side by side on calm, mirror-like water, naturally dampening the river swell and filling the industrial docks with the fresh, clean fragrance of northern evergreen forests. Farther inland, beneath St. Catherine docks, subterranean vaulted brick cellars stored raw mother-of-pearl shells brought from Pacific shores. Descending into these cool, quiet brick vaults, an inspector watched flickering candlelight catch the soft, iridescent glows, reflecting off thousands of shells stacked along silent brick alcoves. Every item that arrived at these docks represented a physical link between a London parlor and an unseen worker thousands of miles away. A simple morning cup of tea, sweetened with Caribbean sugar and served in a porcelain cup, tied an ordinary English home to vast oceanic journeys, quiet tea plantations, and months of skilled navigation across open seas. The global trade of the era was not an abstract entry in a financial ledger, but a tangible, sensory reality carried in cedar crates, copper-bottomed hulls, and aromatic spices. The scale of that world is astonishing, leaving behind a legacy of maritime craftsmanship, quiet harbor routines, and distant connections that endured long after the great wooden clippers lowered their sails for the last time. Before the steady pulse of iron machinery transformed the horizon, the British landscape moved to the ancient, unhurried cadence of nature. Wind rustled softly through oak forests, rivers wound lazily toward the sea, and human movement was bounded by the endurance of a horse or the strength of a walking stride. Across the countryside, travel had long been measured and slow. Dusty turnpike journeys and the weary rhythm of iron-shod hooves on dirt roads. But across the middle decades of the 19th century, a new framework began to lay its quiet geometry over the rolling green hills. It was an evolution etched not in disorder or noise, but in the elegant precision of carved stone, fitted timber, and parallel lines of smooth iron. Across the broad canvas of the realm, thousands of miles of iron track spread quietly out from the cities, bridging valleys, piercing hillsides, and connecting distant market towns into a single, cohesive, geographic web. The scale of this transformation was grand, reshaping how an empire understood distance, trade, and human connection. Yet the physical reality of the railways was experienced in quiet moments of deep personal tranquility, where engineers cut deep channels through solid limestone cliffs to keep the tracks level. Nature quickly reclaimed the stone. Within a few short seasons, those steep rock walls became carpeted in lush green moss, thick ferns, and trailing wild ivy. Passengers peering from carriage windows looked out not at raw industrial scars, but at cool, shaded stone corridors, where damp leaves brushed gently against the glass, and the subtle scent of moist earth, crushed leaves, and wild woodland ferns filled the air. The cool air inside the cuttings carried the timeless scent of damp woodland earth, wrapping every passing train in a refreshing mantle of natural shade. Among the master builders of this new era was Isambard Kingdom Brunel, whose vision for the Great Western Railway treated civil engineering as a form of enduring, majestic art. Brunel designed his lines with gentle gradients and sweeping curves, striving to give travelers the sensation of effortless, floating motion across the land. Perhaps his most poetic creation was the Box Tunnel in Wiltshire, a 2-mile passage carved straight through the dark heart of a massive stone hill. Engineering tradition holds that Brunel aligned the massive stone portal with such astronomical exactness that every year, on his birthday in early spring, the rising morning sun aligns perfectly with the eastern entrance. A single beam of golden sunlight pierces the entire 2-mile length of dark limestone, illuminating the iron rails within with a warm, brilliant glow before the world outside fully awakens to the day. As these iron pathways stretched to every corner of Great Britain, they brought about a strange and subtle revolution in the fundamental nature of human time. For centuries, every town and village had lived by its own local clock, set carefully to the position of the sun in its own sky. When it was noon in London, the church sundial in Bristol read 11 minutes earlier, and in Exeter, 14 minutes earlier still. In a world of slow mail coaches, these tiny differences mattered very little. But as swift steam locomotives began to travel faster than the sun seemed to cross the sky, local times caused baffling confusion at cross-country junction stations, where trains from different lines converged. To resolve this geographic puzzle, station clockmakers across the island were tasked with setting every public clock to a single, unified national pulse, Greenwich Mean Time. In quiet waiting rooms and along covered station platforms, watchmakers stood on wooden stepladders, gently adjusting brass minute hands nationwide to align with the standard time kept at the Royal Observatory. Station masters checked their heavy silver pocket watches against these master timepieces with meticulous care. With a few careful turns of a brass key, centuries of localized solar time drew to a quiet close. Pocket watches in coastal fishing villages, rural parish rectories, and bustling city terminals all began to tick in absolute, harmonious synchronization. Out in the open country, the physical architecture of the railway harmonized with the natural contours of the earth. Where tracks crossed broad river basins and green agricultural valleys, engineers erected soaring viaducts of soft red brick and hand-cut local stone, suspended hundreds of feet above the valley floor on graceful, repeating arches. Passing trains seemed to glide weightlessly through the upper air. Looking out across low wooden windowsills, travelers could gaze down at tiny stone cottages, winding streams, and silent pastures where flocks of sheep grazed undisturbed in the cool valley mist. The motion was smooth and steady, giving those inside a soothing, bird's-eye view of a peaceful, timeless landscape. As day faded gently into dusk, the railway took on an even deeper, more hypnotic character. On evening long-distance journeys, small oil lamps were lowered by platform attendants into bevel-cut glass sockets set into the roof of each carriage. Inside first-class compartments, these lamps cast a soft circular pool of warm amber light over dark blue velvet seats, padded armrests, and polished brass fittings. Passengers resting inside could lean back into soft cushions, watching yellow carriage lights cast fleeting golden halos across dark roadside hedgerows and passing fields. Outside, a gentle night rain might begin to splash against the glass, but inside the carriage, travelers remained completely sheltered in a cozy, firelit cabin, wrapped in warm wool travel rugs. Every few hours, the train would slow to a peaceful standstill at a remote water station, nestled in a dark forest glade. Here, far from any town, elevated wooden towers drew cold spring water from mountain streams. The locomotive paused quietly in the shadows under towering pine trees, where the only sound was the soft, gentle trickling of water passing through a thick leather hose into the tender, accompanied by the gentle, cooling sighs of the resting iron engine as steam drifted slowly into the cool night air. Station lamps flickered faintly in the misty glade, adding to the quiet solitude of the forest stop before the journey resumed. When the train resumed its night journey, steam locomotives released soft white plumes of pure condensation from their chimneys. Traveling through cold winter air, these plumes did not gather into dark smoke, but condensed into delicate clouds of mist that floated gracefully into the night sky before settling as glistening dew on the needles of roadside pine trees. Seen from a distant hill, the train appeared as a warm golden thread drawn softly across the dark velvet landscape, leaving a lingering trail of white mist that dissolved peacefully under the stars. Inside the carriage, the acoustics of the journey provided a natural, rhythmic lulling effect. Early iron rails were laid in 60-foot sections, leaving small, precise expansion gaps between the iron bars to accommodate temperature changes. As heavy carriage wheels rolled over these regular joints, they produced a steady, hypnotic cadence, a gentle, repeating clack, 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 clack that echoed softly through the carpeted floorboards. Accompanied by the gentle, swaying motion of the carriage springs, this continuous mechanical heartbeat lulled generations of weary travelers into a state of serene, effortless rest as their heads rested against padded velvet headrests. The great industrial transformation was far more than an era of iron and coal. It was a quiet restructuring of the human world. It brought distant places close together, synchronized the clocks of millions, and turned daily travel into a peaceful, contemplative journey through an ever-changing landscape. It transformed hard labor and engineering into an enduring legacy of stone, steam, and silent precision. And yet, as the intellect reached toward the future, the human heart still sought solace in the ancient mysteries of the night. Long before electric illumination reshaped the evening hours, the intellectual and spiritual life of the 19th century found its anchor in quiet, shared routines. As dusk settled over green shires and suburban brick terraces, the busy cadence of daytime labor slowly dissolved into the tranquility of the domestic hearth. Across the realm, families gathered in comfortable parlor rooms, as the cool night air pressed against curtained windows. It was an era that sought order, moral clarity, and deep personal reflection amid a world undergoing rapid, unprecedented change. In thousands of homes, the closing of the week was marked by a timeless family ritual. The head of the household would lift a heavy, leather-bound family Bible from its dedicated stand, its worn Morocco cover smooth from decades of gentle handling by the soft golden light of a coal fire. The family sat in silent contemplation, listening to the calm, steady cadence of ancient prose being read aloud, letting the measured rhythm of the words bring a profound sense of safety and spiritual shelter to the end of the day. This search for meaning and quiet reflection was physically embodied in the sacred architecture that dotted the British landscape. In quiet country parishes, ancient stone churches stood as timeless sanctuaries, their oak doors open to anyone seeking refuge from the noise of the world. Stepping inside an empty parish church on a quiet afternoon, a traveler was immediately embraced by a cool, tranquil atmosphere filled with the subtle, warm honey scent of natural beeswax, rubbed gently into hand-carved oak pulpits and smooth wooden pews. High above, soaring stained glass windows depicted delicate botanical patterns alongside sacred scenes, filtering the bright afternoon sun into soft, jewel-toned pools of crimson, sapphire, and amber that drifted lazily across the stone floor. As dust motes floated peacefully in shafts of colored light, the deep silence of the nave created a sanctuary where time itself seemed to stand completely still. Inside these stone walls, the acoustic atmosphere was equally mesmerizing. Church organs, powered by hand-pumped leather bellows, produced low, resonant frequencies that filled the lofty timber roofs. When the organist played softly in the late afternoon, the low bass notes did not echo with harsh loudness, but instead created a deep, gentle vibration that hummed subtly through the ancient stone floorboards and oak benches. Sitting quietly in a pew, one could feel this gentle physical resonance flowing through the room, soothing the mind and body like a deep, continuous breath. Outside, as the sun dipped toward the horizon, the parish church bell would begin its slow, rhythmic evening toll. The deep bronze chimes floated over misty fields and quiet river valleys, signaling to farm laborers and villagers that the day's work was done, inviting the entire landscape to rest beneath the emerging twilight. Yet, this was not a mind closed off from the physical realities of the natural world. In fact, many of the era's most passionate naturalists were rural clergymen who spent their quiet weekdays exploring the countryside surrounding their parsonages. In sunlit country studies, lined with towering oak bookshelves, amateur geologists and botanists carefully organized their collections. A parson might spend a peaceful afternoon cleaning a fossilized ammonite with a soft camel hair brush, removing bits of limestone to reveal delicate spiral patterns formed millions of years ago. These fossils were then carefully laid into velvet-lined wooden drawers alongside rows of pressed wildflowers, dried ferns, and polished mineral specimens. For the Victorian mind, studying the intricate details of a fossil or a leaf was a form of silent devotion, a way to understand the vast, ancient mechanics of creation through patient observation. This quiet, meticulous artistic impulse extended into private homes through popular creative hobbies that required immense patience and focus. Many women took up the art of hand illuminating texts, sitting in silent morning rooms with fine camel hair brushes, watercolor paints, and delicate leaves of real gold. With extraordinary precision, they painted intricate floral borders along the margins of poetry books and devotional manuscripts, carefully applying gold leaf that caught the sunlight in soft, golden glints. The process was unhurried and meditative, requiring absolute stillness and quiet concentration. Every stroke of the brush was an exercise in mindfulness, turning simple paper into an enduring work of private beauty. As the day drew to a close, people often sought the calm sanctuary of churchyard gardens for their evening walks. Far from being somber spaces, Victorian churchyards were thoughtfully designed as peaceful, park-like sanctuaries. Fine gravel paths wound beneath the sweeping dark green branches of centuries-old yew trees, leading to weathered stone benches positioned for quiet reflection. Walking along these gravel lanes, the soft rhythmic crunch of stones underfoot provided a grounding cadence, while the surrounding greenery insulated the walker from the outside world. Resting on a cool stone bench as twilight fell, surrounded by the subtle fragrance of damp grass and ancient timber, one could look up at the emerging stars and find complete peace in the quiet continuity of life. The intellectual landscape of the age was vast, balancing ancient faith with emerging scientific wonder. Yet it always returned to a quiet, grounded core of personal peace and moral earnestness. It was a culture that recognized the profound value of silence, reflection, and quiet craftsmanship in an increasingly fast-paced world. And yet, as the intellect reached toward the future, the human heart still sought solace in the ancient mysteries of the night. As the long winter shadows stretched across Victorian Britain, a strange and comforting atmosphere settled over the domestic realm. The 19th century was an era defined by steam engines, vast industrial expansion, and rigorous scientific progress. Yet alongside this relentless march of modernity flourished a deep, romantic fascination with the unseen. When darkness arrived early in the afternoon, wrapping city streets in sulphurous river fog and cloaking country estates in quiet frost, families turned inward to their hearths. Here, in the warm glow of coal fires, the line between the physical world and the realm of storybook imagination grew sweetly thin. The Victorians did not fear the dark. They transformed it into an art form, creating a unique tradition of winter storytelling, where atmospheric mystery was cultivated not to terrify, but to offer a cozy, thrilling sense of shared sanctuary against the cold. The true peak of this winter tradition occurred on Christmas Eve, an evening when the entire household gathered in dark, firelit parlors specifically to listen to ghost stories. While icy winds whistled down chimney flues and frost etched delicate botanical patterns across single-pane glass windows, listeners wrapped themselves in heavy wool blankets and drew their armchairs close to the hearth. The firelight cast long, dancing shadows across papered walls, transforming familiar furniture into mysterious silhouettes. Authors like Charles Dickens popularized these hearthside tales, weaving stories of spectral visitors, ticking grandfather clocks, and forgotten ancestral halls. Sitting together in the soft amber dimness, surrounded by the comforting smells of burning coal, pine resin, and dried orange peel, listeners felt completely safe. The gentle, pleasant spine tingle of a fireside ghost story served as a quiet reminder of how warm, secure, and protected the home truly was against the vast, dark night outside. This cultural fascination with the mysterious extended into the popular obsession with Gothic Revival architecture. Across the realm, architects like Alfred Waterhouse designed public buildings, libraries, and country manors featuring soaring stone spires, pointed arches, vaulted corridors, and hand-carved terracotta gargoyles. Walking past these grand structures as evening gas lamps flickered to life, pedestrians felt as though they were stepping directly into the pages of a romantic fairy tale. The heavy stone arches and deep window alcoves held soft pools of shadow, bringing a sense of ancient, storybook majesty to modern industrial cities. Inside these large manor houses, subtle thermal currents moving down long, uninsulated hallways would occasionally cause heavy silk velvet curtains to sway gently in empty corridors. Rather than causing alarm, these whispering curtains and the soft creaking of old oak floorboards were embraced as the natural, poetic voice of an old house breathing in the quiet night. Within private drawing rooms, this appetite for the supernatural found expression in dark parlor games and mysterious entertainments. Families gathered around smooth mahogany tables for magic lantern shows, using brass and mahogany projectors powered by small oil lamps. As hand-painted glass slides were slid into the projector, soft, glowing images of ruined abbeys, stormy seas, and glowing apparitions danced across a stretched white cotton sheet. The warm, distinct smell of lamp oil filled the silent room while children and adults alike watched the colorful, luminous shadows with quiet wonder. In other homes, spiritualist seances were conducted around dark velvet draped tables, where participants held hands in absolute silence, listening to the deep, rhythmic tick-tock of a tall oak grandfather clock standing in the hallway outside. The steady pendulum served as an acoustic heart for the house, its measured tick reassuring everyone in the room as they explored the edges of the unknown. Even the objects of daily life were infused with romantic folklore and tragic myth. Upon tea tables across the empire, families served afternoon tea from blue and white willow patterned ceramic china. The intricate cobalt blue glaze depicted an elaborate Chinese folklore myth of two young lovers fleeing a tyrant father, crossing a bridge past weeping willow trees before being transformed into two doves flying forever together in the sky. Tracing the smooth, cool porcelain with a finger while sipping warm tea brought a quiet touch of storybook romance directly to the domestic table. Meanwhile, out in the countryside, Victorian naturalists and plant collectors explored ancient, shaded forests during the popular craze for fern gathering. Moving down damp woodland paths carpeted in deep moss and towering green fronds, collectors recalled old country folklore, which claimed that the microscopic, invisible seeds of wild ferns allowed a person to walk through the woods without making a sound, completely attuned to the silent beauty of the forest. This rich tapestry of folklore, Gothic imagination, and fireside mystery provided a necessary balance to the rational, mechanical world outside. It allowed the Victorian mind to preserve a sense of wonder, romance, and enchanting mystery in an age of science and steam. For, in the flicker of a dying candle, the line between what is known and what is imagined has always grown sweetly thin. Beyond the quiet hearths and fog-draped streets of the home islands, the outer horizons of the mid-19th century stretched across vast distances of sea and sky. For those living in Britain, the far reaches of the empire were defined by a sense of immense spatial isolation. News from distant frontiers did not arrive in instantaneous digital flashes, but traveled slowly across thousands of miles of ocean aboard coal-fired steamships and wind-driven sailing packets. When military conflicts arose in remote territories, most notably during the cold, brutal winter of the Crimean Campaign in 1854, they were understood back home not through violent, high-tempo headlines, but through quiet, poignant glimpses of human endurance, logistics, and caretaking. The distant geography of the Black Sea felt unimaginably remote, yet the quiet dignity of those serving on far-off horizons moved deeply through the national consciousness. Across the Crimean Peninsula, winter arrived with a quiet, relentless severity. Deep snowfalls blanketed the military encampments around Balaclava, smoothing the rugged terrain beneath a thick, unbroken layer of white. The heavy snow acted as a natural acoustic insulator, dampening every sound across the frozen landscape. Inside canvas bell tents, standing like silent white cones beneath clear, starry skies, soldiers sought shelter from the icy winds blowing off the Euxine Sea. Protected within heavy wool sleeping sacks, men listened to the utter silence of the falling snow, their breath condensing softly in the freezing night air. Back in England, thousands of women gathered around home hearths to knit soft woolen head coverings that left only the eyes exposed to the elements. These hand-knitted caps, sent as quiet gestures of comfort across thousands of miles of ocean, introduced the balaclava to global clothing culture, wrapping distant travelers in the warmth of home. In the quiet, lantern-lit hospital wards of Scutari, across the water from Constantinople, a profound revolution in human caretaking was taking place. Down corridors stretching for miles through vast wooden barracks, Florence Nightingale carried out her night rounds. In the deep silence of the evening, she walked among rows of simple cots. Carrying a traditional Turkish folded paper and brass lantern of Fanuz, the lantern cast a soft, warm amber glow through its translucent paper sides, illuminating the dark floorboards and casting gentle shadows along the timber walls. Recovering soldiers, resting beneath clean sheets, watched the warm pool of light move softly down the long, quiet hall. Nightingale's presence brought an immense sense of peace and reassurance to the darkened wards, her hushed footsteps on the wooden floor serving as an acoustic anchor in the stillness of the night. Under Nightingale's meticulous direction, the atmosphere of the military hospital was transformed from a place of distress into a sanctuary of order and quiet recovery. She mandated that every ward be scrubbed continuously with clean water, and that bed linens be washed thoroughly, dried in open sea breezes, and treated with light lavender oil. Sinking into clean, sun-dried linen sheets scented with fresh lavender, weary soldiers experienced an immediate sense of total physical comfort and peaceful rest. The cool sea breezes flowing through open windows carried away the stale air of confinement, replacing it with the fresh, restorative aroma of the salty coast and wild herbs. Through these simple, fundamental acts of environmental care, clean air, soft linen, and quiet surroundings, a new standard of medical compassion was born. This era also marked the birth of a profound new symbol of valor, the Victoria Cross. Instituted by the Queen to recognize personal courage without regard to military rank, each medal was forged from the dark, heavy bronze of Russian cannons captured at the siege of Sevastopol. The raw, captured bronze was melted down and hand-finished by master craftsmen into small, dark crosses bearing the simple inscription for valor. Holding the small medal, a recipient could feel its surprising physical weight and trace the dark, hand-polished metal surface, a tangible object forged from the transformed materials of distant hardship, now serving as a permanent keepsake of quiet nobility and devotion. At the very same time, deep beneath the surface of the Black Sea, another quiet transformation was taking place. Engineers laid the world's first subsea military telegraph cables along the dark ocean floor, miles beneath the surface waves. in total stillness and silence. A single copper wire insulated with gutta percha rested peacefully in the deep sea mud. Faint electrical pulses clicked through the wire, carrying handwritten messages from the Crimea to London in hours rather than weeks. In quiet telegraph offices thousands of miles away, operators sat in dim rooms, listening to the faint, rhythmic ticking of brass receivers, recording words of peace and logistics as paper tape unrolled silently onto soft leather pads. This distant world of snow, covered tents, lantern-lit hospital corridors, and quiet ocean cables illustrated the quiet resilience of the human spirit on the furthest edges of the realm. It showed how compassion, order, and quiet devotion could bridge immense geographic divides, transforming far-off hardship into an enduring legacy of care. And yet, as the intellect reached toward the future, the human heart still sought solace in the ancient mysteries of the night. At the heart of the 19th century lay a personal story that shaped the public identity and private atmosphere of an entire epoch. When Queen Victoria married Prince Albert of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha in February 1840, she chose to break with centuries of royal precedent. Rather than wearing heavy state robes of velvet and ermine, the 20-year-old monarch stepped forward in a simple dress of rich cream silk satin, trimmed with delicate handmade Honiton lace. By selecting white silk, a fabric that highlighted the extraordinary skill of English lace makers, she prioritized personal simplicity and romantic devotion over royal display. Under the soft, diffused light of the royal chapel, the young bride established a global tradition that would endure across centuries, transforming the simple white wedding dress into an enduring symbol of romantic love and quiet elegance. From those early days, their relationship developed into a deep, structured partnership of mind and spirit. At Windsor Castle and Buckingham Palace, Albert and Victoria worked side by side at twin mahogany desks set in quiet, firelit studies. While their young children played softly on carpeted floors nearby, the Queen and her prince consort spent hours reviewing heavy state papers, drafting official letters, and organizing royal correspondence. The synchronous scratching of two goose quills on heavy parchment provided a steady, reassuring heartbeat to the room. Albert served as Victoria's private secretary, confidant, and chief advisor, bringing a quiet, methodical intellect to the burdens of state. Sitting together by the hearth as late afternoon shadows lengthened, they shared every decision, finding complete harmony in their work. When the pressures of public life grew too heavy, the royal family sought sanctuary in the secluded landscape of the Scottish Highlands. Prince Albert personally designed Balmoral Castle in Aberdeenshire, choosing local grey granite walls, pine-paneled sitting rooms, and warm tartan wool drapery that reflected the wild beauty of the surrounding hills. Deep in the valleys of Deeside, surrounded by ancient pine forests and dark mountain peaks, Victoria and Albert found total freedom. They took long, early morning walks together through thick purple heather, wrapped in simple tweed cloaks without royal attendants. As cool highland mists drifted down from the mountains, dampening every sound, they listened to the soft patter of rain against granite walls and the soothing crackle of pine logs burning in the hearth, completely immersed in the peaceful solitude of nature. In their private evenings at Windsor, music provided a quiet bridge of personal connection. Both accomplished musicians, Victoria and Albert spent hours playing piano and pipe organ duets in the warm, wood-paneled drawing rooms, performing delicate compositions by Felix Mendelssohn, a personal friend who frequently visited them. Four hands moved in seamless harmony across the keys. The gentle, cascading notes filled the quiet room, reflecting off polished mahogany surfaces and catching the soft flickering of evening candles. These quiet musical duets offered a serene refuge from political cares, reinforcing a profound partnership that was as artistic and emotional as it was structural. This harmonious world was suddenly shattered in December 1861 when Prince Albert passed away from typhoid fever at the age of 42. Overwhelmed by grief, the 42-year-old queen retreated into deep, private mourning, a solitude that would define the remaining 4 decades of her life. She adopted the traditional attire of a Victorian widow, wearing exclusively heavy black silk crepe dresses, known as widow's weeds. As she walked slowly through palace corridors, the soft, matte black fabric produced a gentle, rustling whisper against carpeted floors, a permanent acoustic expression of personal remembrance. Albert's private study at Windsor was preserved exactly as he had left it. His pens, notebooks, and desk accessories remained untouched, keeping his memory vividly alive in the quiet sanctuary of his home. To honor her husband's enduring legacy, Victoria constructed a grand mausoleum at Frogmore, set within the peaceful, winding gardens of Windsor. Inside the quiet interior, beneath a soaring dome painted like a night sky with golden stars, she commissioned matching recumbent statues of herself and Albert sculpted from pure white marble. Filtered sunlight fell softly over the marble figures, depicting them resting side by side in eternal peace. For 40 years, the Queen visited this serene sanctuary to pray and reflect, drawing comfort from the quiet beauty of the space. Her long widowhood transformed her private sorrow into a grand, solemn symbol of lifelong devotion, a testament to a love that reshaped an individual's inner world for 4 decades. The partnership of Victoria and Albert remained a defining touchstone of the era, blending public duty with private romance, and demonstrating how profound devotion could survive long after a voice had fallen silent. Their influence survived long after they disappeared. In the middle decades of the 19th century, the quiet rhythm of the British home underwent a warm, lasting transformation. As industrial cities expanded and the pace of public life accelerated, the domestic sphere was increasingly cultivated as a sanctuary of comfort, moral warmth, and gentle ritual. It was an age that elevated the home into a haven from the outside world, inventing and popularizing traditions that celebrated family cohesion, seasonal beauty, and simple everyday pleasures. Through cozy fireside gatherings, refined social rituals, and handcrafted seasonal decorations, the Victorians shaped a distinct domestic culture centered on the hearth one that transformed simple everyday acts into reassuring, lifelong memories. Perhaps no domestic tradition captured the Victorian imagination more completely than the celebration of Christmas. In December 1848, the Illustrated London News published a famous woodcut showing Queen Victoria, Prince Albert, and their young children gathered happily around a decorated tabletop evergreen tree at Windsor Castle. Prince Albert had brought the custom from his native Germany, and within months of the illustration's release, the Christmas tree became a beloved phenomenon across the entire English-speaking world. In cozy parlors across the realm, families set up sweet-smelling evergreen firs, clipping small, real wax candles to the tips of dark green branches. When illuminated on Christmas Eve, tiny yellow flames flickered gently in the dim room, filling the warm air with the rich fragrance of warm beeswax and fresh pine resin, while casting soft reflections across hand-blown glass ornaments. Alongside the Christmas tree, winter homes were adorned with natural holiday garlands, crafted by hand around the parlor fire. Victorians gathered glossy green holly leaves, mistletoe, dried orange wheels, star anise, and whole cinnamon sticks, tying them together with soft red velvet ribbons. As these natural decorations warmed near the coal hearth, they released a rich, comforting aroma of sweet citrus and aromatic spice throughout the house. Families gathered around dark mahogany tables to play gentle parlor games, design hand-painted greeting cards, and listen to winter music played softly on upright pianos. These simple holiday rituals created an atmosphere of deep security and festive warmth, establishing a timeless template for midwinter family comfort that endures to this day. In addition to seasonal celebrations, the era saw the invention of a daily ritual that became synonymous with British domestic life: afternoon tea. In the early 1840s, Anna Maria Russell, Duchess of Bedford, began requesting a small tray of hot tea, buttered bread, and small cakes delivered to her private dressing room at 4 o'clock to bridge the long, empty gap between an early lunch and a late evening dinner. The practice quickly spread from aristocratic country houses to middle-class suburban parlors, evolving into a cherished afternoon pause. In quiet sitting rooms as dusk began to fall, families and visitors rested in comfortable armchairs, listening to the gentle clink of silver teaspoons against translucent china as hot, fragrant tea was poured from gleaming silver teapots. The material culture of afternoon tea was crafted with extraordinary care and aesthetic refinement. On polished silver trays, small alcohol spirit lamps hummed with tiny silent blue flames beneath silver kettles, keeping water at a constant, quiet simmer without producing smoke or flame noise. Tea was served in fine bone china, a remarkable Victorian ceramic innovation combining porcelain clay with bone ash. This process produced tableware that was feather light, exceptionally strong, and so paper thin that holding a delicate white cup up to a candle revealed soft golden light glowing through its translucent wall. Paired with warm, buttered scones, sweet fruit preserves, and delicate cucumber sandwiches, the afternoon tea tray brought a moment of quiet, peaceful elegance to the middle of every busy day. This deep appreciation for subtle, non-verbal expression also expressed itself in the romantic Victorian language of flowers, known as floriography. Standardized guidebooks allowed people to compose secret, coded messages using carefully selected bouquet arrangements. A small nosegay of red roses communicated deep devotion, sweet violets signaled modest affection, and a sprig of dried lavender promised quiet tranquility. Selecting individual blossoms from sunlit gardens, senders wrapped cool, green stems in crisp lace paper, offering a quiet bouquet that spoke meaningful words without ever making a sound. These delicate floral codes added a touch of storybook romance and thoughtful sentiment to everyday relationships. Through these cherished traditions, the candlelit Christmas tree, the warm afternoon teacup, and the quiet language of flowers, the Victorian home became a masterpiece of comfort, memory, and emotional sanctuary. These daily rituals brought order, beauty, and peaceful stability to family life, leaving a gentle legacy that continues to warm homes around the world. And yet, as the intellect reached toward the future, the human heart still sought solace in the ancient mysteries of the night. In the quiet, sunlit spring of 1851, the air over London carried a soft, expectant stillness. Before the grand structures of modern science took shape, the world was measured by the patient pace of hand-drawn diagrams and glass workshop furnaces. Across the green expanse of Hyde Park, morning light filtered through the leafy canopy of ancient elm trees, where dew glistened on grass blades before the arrival of the afternoon heat. It is easy to picture the quiet landscape before the iron arches rose, a serene sanctuary of turf and timber nestled within the growing capital. Across the broad avenues, the city moved with its familiar, measured rhythm. Into this environment stepped the garden architect Joseph Paxton, whose eyes saw structural possibilities in the organic patterns of nature. While studying the ribbed underside of the giant Amazonian water lily in a warm greenhouse, he noticed how delicate leaf veins supported immense weight across calm water. The scale of that world is astonishing. Paxton translated those natural geometry principles into prefabricated iron beams and sweeping glass panels. His visionary design promised a cathedral of light, built not of heavy mortar, but of iron framework and sheer transparency. When the Crystal Palace opened its doors, it enclosed full-grown elm trees beneath a soaring 108-foot glass transept. No branches were cut down. Instead, the green leaves reached toward the sunlit skylights high above, bathed in a soft, diffuse amber glow. Standing inside the vast hall, a visitor felt as though they had stepped into an enchanted winter garden that remained permanently warm. Sunlight poured through 6 million feet of glass, illuminating rows of intricate machinery, velvet draperies, and polished marble statues from every corner of the globe. At the very center of this luminous palace stood a towering 27-foot fountain crafted entirely of pure crystal glass. It continuously pumped 4 tons of scented rosewater into the air, casting a delicate floral mist across the surrounding aisles. The gentle, rhythmic splash of the water provided an acoustic anchor amid the hushed murmur of the awe-struck crowds. One can almost imagine standing beside the sparkling basin, watching light refract into pale rainbows through the falling droplets, while the subtle fragrance of fresh roses drifted past. The great exhibition unified global craft and industrial precision under a single roof. Yet, far beyond the grand halls of Hyde Park, the quiet pursuit of human knowledge unfolded in solitary. Firelit studies across the countryside. Naturalists sat at heavy oak desks, adjusting the fine focus knobs of hand-polished brass microscopes. Beneath the cool glass slides, held firmly by small spring clips, hidden worlds revealed themselves in extraordinary detail. A single butterfly wing exposed intricate cellular lattices, while a drop of pond water contained complex, invisible ecosystems. While microscopes opened the miniature realm, other minds turned their gaze toward the vast silence of deep space. In the damp countryside of central Ireland, at Windsor Castle, stands a monumental testament to astronomical curiosity. Known as the Leviathan of Parsonstown, this 72-inch reflecting telescope was mounted between massive, ivy-covered stone walls. Under cold, dark night skies, astronomers climbed high wooden gantries to peer through the giant iron tube. For the first time, human eyes observed the delicate, glowing spiral arms of distant galaxies, floating silently millions of light years away. The mystery still remains. Back in the heart of London, this expanding appetite for learning found a permanent, peaceful sanctuary. In 1857, the British Museum opened its celebrated circular reading room beneath a soaring, cathedral-like dome. The interior was lined with soft blue leather-topped desks, arranged in concentric circles around the central catalog desks. Thick felt carpeting swallowed every footstep, creating a profound, respectful silence across the vast room. Readers sat in comfortable armchairs, turning the heavy, cream-colored pages of rare manuscripts, while sunlight drifted quietly down from the high, papered vault above. As knowledge expanded within libraries and observatories, the very concept of physical distance began to dissolve beneath the waves. For centuries, ocean voyages required long, lonely weeks of travel across unpredictable seas to carry a single handwritten letter across the Atlantic. But deep beneath the surface, a quiet revolution was quietly being laid along the seabed. Heavy steamships unspooled thousands of miles of heavy copper wire, wrapped in protective gutta percha insulation, laying a silent line across the dark, silent mud of the Atlantic basin. In August of 1858, this subsea telegraph cable connected the eastern and western hemispheres for the very first time. From a quiet terminal room in London, Queen Victoria transmitted a 98-word message of goodwill to President James Buchanan in Washington. In the hushed room, the telegraph operator listened to the slow, steady clicking of the brass key as faint electrical pulses traveled along the dark ocean floor. Each Morse code signal clicked softly into the stillness, bridging two continents in a matter of hours rather than weeks. Their influence survived long after they disappeared. The scale of this global connection transformed human perception. On the dark ocean floor, miles beneath rolling surface waves, the single insulated copper wire rested in complete, undisturbed stillness, carrying faint thoughts of peace through the cold water. It was a subtle, invisible thread, binding distant lands together, operating without noise, smoke, or disruption. And yet, even amid this chaos, life continued. In small-town telegraph offices across the land, paper tape unrolled slowly from polished brass reels, marking tiny ink dots and dashes in continuous, rhythmic streams. Station clerks worked under the warm, circular glow of oil lamps, translating the faint electrical pulses into handwritten notes delivered by young couriers on foot. A traveler standing there might have noticed how the steady click-clack of the telegraph receiver matched the quiet ticking of the parlor clock on the wall, anchoring the rapid arrival of news within a calm, familiar room. This era of crystalline glass and subterranean copper wires did not discard the past. It simply gave human curiosity a broader canvas. The same hands that cultivated delicate garden roses now calibrated subsea electrical currents and polished massive telescope mirrors. The physical structures of iron and glass showed that human ingenuity could build spaces of soaring beauty, while the quiet wires beneath the sea proved that thought could travel far beyond the horizon. As the late afternoon sun began to dip behind the high glass roof of the Crystal Palace, long golden shadows stretched across the central nave. The splashing of the rosewater fountain slowed to a soft, tranquil hum, and the vast crowds gradually made their way toward the exit gates. Outside, the ancient elm trees stood quietly in Hyde Park, their green leaves rustling gently in the cool evening breeze. The great hall of glass faded into the twilight, glowing like a soft lantern under the gathering dark, leaving the world to rest in peaceful contemplation of the wonders it had witnessed. In the warm, golden light of June 1897, an unbroken stillness settled over the ancient avenues of London. Before the grand processions filled the thoroughfares, the city awoke to a soft haze-covered summer dawn. Across Hyde Park, early morning dew glistened on the manicured lawns, while the quiet waters of the Serpentine reflected a sky of pale, pale blue. Long before the crowds gathered along the parade routes, the capital rested in a peaceful, anticipatory calm, bathed in the gentle amber glow of a summer sun rising over St. Paul's Cathedral. For 6 decades, a single monarch had sat upon the throne, her likeness struck onto millions of silver coins that passed quietly from hand to hand across the globe. An entire generation of citizens had been born, grown old, and passed away knowing no other sovereign. The scale of that world is astonishing. From the quiet villages of the Scottish Highlands to the distant ports of the Pacific, the name of the Queen was an enduring, unmoving anchor in a rapidly changing century. Inside Buckingham Palace, on the morning of June 22, the 78-year-old monarch sat at a small, polished wooden desk. Her silver hair was framed by a delicate veil of white tulle, resting softly against her dark silk gown. With a calm, deliberate gesture, she pressed a single electric telegraph button mounted on a small mahogany pedestal. In a fraction of a second, a quiet electrical pulse traveled along subterranean cables, carrying a simple message of gratitude across oceans, mountain ranges, and vast continents. From my heart, I thank my beloved people. Outside the palace gates, the great Diamond Jubilee procession began its slow, majestic movement through the heart of the capital. Queen Victoria rode in an open landau carriage, pulled by 8 cream-colored horses whose silver-plated harnesses gleamed in the summer light. She sat beneath a simple white lace parasol, which cast a soft, patterned shadow across her face. Beside her carriage walked colonial officers, cavalrymen in dark tunics, and sailors from every corner of the realm, moving with a steady, measured pace along paved avenues lined with thousands of quiet, respectful onlookers. The parade moved without hurry, the rhythmic clip-clop of iron horseshoes on smooth woodblock paving forming a low, hypnotic cadence. It is easy to picture the scene as the open carriage passed through the vast crowds. People stood several rows deep along the sidewalks, watching in deep, appreciative silence as the small figure in white lace and black silk passed by. There was no boisterous shouting, only the warm, collective murmur of a populace reflecting on 60 years of shared history. As the late afternoon sun began to sink toward the horizon, the procession reached the grand west steps of St. Paul's Cathedral. Because the aging queen found it difficult to climb the high stone stairs, a short open-air service of Thanksgiving was held directly beside her carriage. Sunlight bathed the towering stone facade of the cathedral in a rich, honeyed light, while a choir of white-robed choristers sang softly on the cathedral steps. A traveler standing there might have noticed the gentle breeze rustling the leaves of nearby trees, blending with the mellow notes of distant brass instruments. Indeed, across London's expansive public parks, military and community brass bands played slow, stately compositions throughout the twilight hours. In Hyde Park and Kensington Gardens, the mellow tones of horns and tubas drifted softly across the open lawns, softened by distance until they became a tranquil background melody. Listeners sat on wooden benches beneath the spreading branches of oak and chestnut trees, listening as the quiet music washed over the cooling grass. And yet, even amid this chaos, life continued. As the golden sunset faded off the dome of St. Paul's into a deep, velvety twilight, a subtle illumination transformed the city streetscapes. Across London, 2 technological eras met in quiet harmony along the evening avenues. Lower shop windows and domestic parlors were illuminated by the familiar, soft amber glow of gas lamps, while high above on the major thoroughfares, newly installed carbon arc electric bulbs cast a cool, clear white light across stone cornices and slate roofs. When night fell completely, the celebration shifted from the capital to the surrounding countryside. Upon hilltops and high ridges across the entire island, communities prepared for an ancient, unifying ritual. At a given signal, over 2,500 bonfire beacons were lit sequentially on prominent peaks. From the cliffs of Dover to the rugged summits of the Scottish borders, one can almost imagine standing on a dark, quiet hillside in the late evening, looking out across a silent valley. On the distant, shadowy ridge opposite, a single point of warm red fire flickered into life, glowing steadily beneath a clear, starry sky. Soon, another beacon appeared on a neighboring peak miles away, forming a continuous, tranquil chain of warm light stretching across the silent landscape. The cool night air carried the faint, sweet scent of wood smoke across the valley, while the fires burned softly under the vast canopy of the night. The young girl who had ridden horses through the secluded gardens of Kensington in the misty dawn of 1837 was now an elderly matriarch whose quiet signal had pulsed around the entire globe in seconds. The simple coach roads of her youth had expanded into vast iron networks, and the dark streets of her coronation had transformed into avenues of light. As the midnight hour approached, the beacon fires on the distant hills slowly burned down to quiet, glowing coals. The soft sounds of the city faded into an unbroken nighttime stillness, leaving only the steady tick of tall grandfather clocks in quiet hallways and the gentle rustle of leaves in the night wind. The memory endured for centuries. The grand, dusk-like celebration had drawn to a close, allowing the land and its people to rest peacefully in the quiet embrace of a summer night, as the long 19th century slowly prepared to close its final chapter. In the quiet midwinter chill of January 1901, a deep and tranquil stillness settled over the Isle of Wight. Away from the hum of London, Osborne House stood as a peaceful sanctuary framed by dark green holm oaks and seaside gardens. Designed decades earlier by Prince Albert in the style of an Italianate villa, the estate looked out over the quiet waters of the Solent. Outside the high glass windows of the Queen's private bedroom, the gentle, rhythmic lapping of sea waves rolling over smooth pebble beaches provided an unbroken, comforting background sound. Across the surrounding roads and estate gates, thick layers of golden straw had been laid over the stones to deaden all traffic. Wheels and iron horseshoes passed over the padding without making a sound. Inside the house, family members, doctors, and attendants moved down carpeted corridors exclusively in soft felt slippers, speaking in low, gentle whispers. The house was enveloped in a hushed, respectful calm, insulated from the outside world by the winter air and the quiet rhythm of the sea. Outside, a light winter snowfall began to fall softly over the garden terraces, dusting the evergreen foliage and stone statues in a clean white blanket. The world outside the window felt completely motionless, suspended under a pale, peaceful winter sky. It is easy to picture the scene within the warm, quiet bedroom where the tired monarch lay resting comfortably, surrounded by the quiet affection of her family and the familiar furnishings of a home she had loved for half a century. On the 22nd day of January, as the quiet afternoon light began to fade over the Solent, Queen Victoria passed away with complete serenity. There was no drama, only a gentle closing of a long and remarkable chapter. The 19th century had quietly drawn to its close, and with her final breath, an entire epoch came to a peaceful rest. In accordance with her personal wishes, the arrangements for her farewell reflected simplicity, personal affection, and peace. Her coffin was lined with soft white silk, and her delicate lace wedding veil, surrounded by sprigs of fresh green rosemary and sweet-smelling spring flowers, replacing somber black draperies with natural textures and light. When the time came to convey her from the island, her coffin was carried across the calm sea aboard the royal yacht Alberta. As the sleek white ship glided smoothly across the water toward the mainland, dark naval vessels anchored in the bay fired slow, low-register minute guns that boomed softly across the misty waters, sounding like distant thunder over a quiet sea. A traveler standing on the shore might have noticed the complete calm of the water, reflecting the gray-blue winter sky above. She was brought to Windsor and laid to rest beside Prince Albert in the quiet sanctuary of the Frogmore Mausoleum. After 40 years of widowhood and devoted memory, she was reunited with her husband beneath matching marble statues, resting side by side in eternal peace beneath a soaring dome painted with golden stars. Their influence survived long after they disappeared. The steady, ticking clock of time moved forward into a new, unfamiliar century, leaving behind a legacy carved in stone, iron, and quiet human memory. The grand Victorian era had reached its natural, peaceful conclusion, inviting a resting world to drift into the quiet dark of the night. And so, the grand tapestry of the 19th century gently draws to its close, settling into the quiet silence of history. The monumental cities, built of polished stone and iron, the vast networks of steam and steel cutting across green countryside, and the millions of handwritten letters sent across oceans have all found their peaceful resting place. 6 decades of monumental transformation, from the soft gaslight flickering on wet cobblestones to the swift electrical pulses beneath the sea, now rest as quiet memories etched into the passage of time. The lives lived, the crafts perfected, and the quiet domestic rituals of parlor hearths and evening tea have all dissolved into the timeless continuum of the past. Everything that once seemed so vast, so urgent, and so full of movement has softened into a serene, unbroken calm. The scale of that world was astonishing, yet its final resting place is one of complete, untroubled stillness. Zooming out into the vast, unfolding expanse of deep time, we see how grand empires rise, flourish, and gently fade like evening shadows across the rolling hills. The gas lamps that illuminated foggy Victorian thoroughfares have dimmed, and the grand steam engines have fallen silent, leaving only the quiet rivers to flow beneath ancient stone arches as they have done for thousands of years. The grand monuments and high spires remain standing under starry night skies, timeless witnesses to an era that has softly passed away. The earth continues its slow, silent rotation through space, carrying the quiet memories of centuries in its gentle drift. Generations come and go, yet the fundamental peace of the natural world remains unchanged, wrapping the landscape in an eternal, reassuring embrace. All the striving, all the learning, and all the grand ambitions of humanity resolve into the quiet, steady rhythm of the cosmos. Now, let the grand scope of history drift completely away, as your attention returns softly and safely to the immediate space around you. Outside your window, the evening fog settles gently over the quiet streets, and the rain has softened into a peaceful, barely audible mist. The room around you is warm, secure, and perfectly insulated from the outside world. You are completely safe, protected within this tranquil sanctuary of quiet rest. Feel the steady, gentle weight of your blankets resting comfortably upon you, cradling you in total physical ease. There is nothing left to analyze, nothing left to hold on to, and no further places to travel tonight. The long journey through time is finished, leaving only the calm, soothing environment of your room. Your breathing is slow, steady, and unhurried, rising and falling like the quiet tides of a calm, motionless sea. With every gentle breath you exhale, allow your body to sink deeper and deeper into total relaxation. Your eyelids feel heavy, soft, and completely ready to rest. Release every remaining tension from your shoulders, your arms, and your hands, letting yourself melt softly into the mattress beneath you. The mind becomes still, clear, and quiet, drifting effortlessly away from thoughts, words, and memories. Feel the peaceful stillness expanding through every part of your being, washing over you in warm, comforting waves. There is only rest now, deep, unbroken, and restorative. Surrender fully to the quiet dark, letting go of consciousness as you sink down into a serene and dreamless sleep. Sleep well, and good night.